actually a fair amount that work from men as well, so we actually see a decent amount of guys purchasing from our site. But yeah, I mean, we do the same thing. We do targeted Facebook posts. We did a campaign during the holiday season when you could create a wish list on our site and share that socially with your friends or family or boyfriends or whatever, similarly for Valentine's Day. So yeah.
So this is kind of like a registry kind of thing. This is like the list items that I want.
It's not a registry. I mean, it's more social than that, right? I mean, you sort of wish list items, and then you can share those with friends. Like, here's my wish list from Loxola, right? But
how many percent of that do you think come from men's? Do men buy? I mean, do men purchase it themselves for the female counterparts?
I have no idea how exactly many men purchase for women on our site. I mean, I guess I could guess by name, but we don't necessarily ask them if they're female or male when they check out. I mean, obviously, it's a much smaller percentage than women who are buying on our site. I would probably say 10% are men, if that.
Okay. So what I'm interested in is now, if you look at e-commerce in general, how do you see the landscape evolving in the next 1 year, 2 years? Tough question?
That's an interesting question. So I just came back from New York, and if anyone's ever heard of Zappos, I think it's a great model. I bought some shoes from them, and it came like the next day, and they said, I only paid for it to come for like a week after I bought it, but they surprised me. It turned up the next day. I loved it. Like the shoes were cheaper than what I'd pay at a normal retail store. I actually ordered another pair of shoes, but they weren't able to deliver it on time. I actually made the mistake of making the delivery 1 week, so I flew out before they arrived. But it's cool. I mean, Zappos have a 365-day return policy, so I have a year to get back to New York before I have to commit to those shoes. I mean, I think that's the future of shopping.
So one thing, two problems I see most that plague e-commerce companies in Asia is logistics and payment, right? So that deals with logistics. How do I think like Sola, you have a 1-day shipping policy? Is that it?
Yeah, we do next business day. So during the week it's next day, and over the weekend you'll get it on Monday.
So do you see that as shifting? Do you hope to ship to someone within 2 hours?
I mean, I think next day or same day delivery has its own issues, because typically when you're shopping online, you're not actually expecting to get it 2 hours later. I mean, I think that you've seen this in the US, right? Sephora.com's tried this in the US, Zappos has actually tried this, Amazon's tried it in the US, and I think they're having actually great difficulty dealing with the same day delivery issue. So, the average in Singapore is 5 days. We do free next day for anybody, so I think we're already beating the competition. I mean, who knows, maybe we'll do same day, but I think if we can continue to execute on our free next day delivery, then, that seems to have made people very, very happy.
Yeah.
So we want to, just continue to be able to scale in a way that makes that possible for everybody all the time. And I think for our international markets, it's very important for us to execute on that as well.
Yeah.
So currently, our warehouse is here in Singapore, and we ship to our other markets from here. But we're opening up warehouses in other countries so that we can speed up the delivery time for those customers in those countries. So yeah, I mean, I think the logistics side of e-commerce definitely has a lot of room for growth. I'm with Chris here. If anybody wants to start an amazing logistics company for B2C, I think you would do very, very well in Southeast Asia. But until then, we'll just continue to build it ourselves. I think there's a lot of value creation for your own company in solving those problems yourself.
So we learned a lot from the florists. They are the only ones that can deliver within 2 hours. So I work with quite a lot of florist delivery guys to make sure that Valentine's Day gifts are delivered within the same day. It's very tough because in general, logistics is a pain for most of the e-commerce companies. They don't deliver on the same day. But if you know the right kind of drivers and the right kind of network to target, like in this case the florist, then you can actually deliver within the same day. But they're very limited. So they could probably deliver like less than 50-ish boxes a day, versus like if you go with a courier company, you can do like 800 to 1,000 boxes a day. Yeah, so payment is the other issue. Very, very, very painful. So in the 5 countries we are in, we have to integrate with local payment providers. And every payment provider has their own APIs, has their own integration problems. Take a long time. It takes us about like close to 1 to 2 months per country that we are in. Yeah.
So 1 to 2 months what?
Just payment integration, testing, setting up bank accounts, making sure money comes in. Yeah.
Groupon is traditionally a service-based deal space, so people will go there for a discount for a massage or a restaurant, but we are now moving into the goods space, and we do have a lot of logistical and shipping areas of improvement. And I think the answer lies in automation and trying to minimize mistakes. So that's something that we're concentrating a lot of efforts into.
Okay, at this point I'd like to open up questions to the floor. Anyone has questions? Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hi, someone's going on.
It's okay. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm from the National Critics' Choice, the talk show host for online news. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm from the National Critics' Choice, the online talk show host, international. I have two questions that was submitted by my fans, and for each of you, including the moderator, if you mind answer it. The first question is, do you have a plan B should you fail in your business, or would you restructure plan A? And the second question is that what will be your favorite moment in your success, and could you give one key lesson for aspiring entrepreneurs, including students?
So one of the core values that Vanity Trove has with 7 is adaptability, trumps strength and intelligence. So basically we just keep adapting, so there's no real plan B per se, because we can't really plan for failure or success, so we just keep evolving and adapting at every stage. Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, I guess to the first part of the question, I mean, I don't have like some backup plan written down, like if this doesn't work out, I'll do X, right? I think most of us would agree that you have to put it all on the line and focus on that, and if it doesn't work out, then you'll figure it out. Yeah, and to the second part of your question, I think the best thing that I ever did before I went out on my own was to work for another startup. I think that business school is great, education is great, all these things are wonderful, but it's really awesome to join as the second or third person in the startup and get paid to basically make mistakes on their dime. I mean, that's what I did, right? So I made a nice salary and got to learn how I didn't want to do things when I went out on my own, and I got to learn what things were really, really valuable, and things that I admired in the co-founders that I initially worked for. So I would suggest that.
Plan B. So I think what lies in my heart is a passion for entrepreneurship, investment opportunities, which I think is almost grounded in sales. So as part of the interview process to join Groupon Singapore, we asked potential salespeople, how would you sell ice to Eskimos and heaters to Singaporeans? And I think that anyone who joins Groupon has a great flair for sales. So that's a huge passion for me as well, dealing with people, working with people. The greatest moment for me was not really the acquisition and not being able to make some great money out of it. It was really when I was able to convince the first merchant to sign on to Be Economic and try group buying, because I felt like they were trusting their whole company in my hands, and they were putting their brand on the line to offer a discount that they normally wouldn't do to our customers. And to see them sort of win favor with Be Economic, it was a great feeling, a confidence booster. My advice to any aspiring entrepreneurs, if I put myself in my shoes 3 years ago when I started Be Economic, it was, sometimes you lack guidance and sometimes you don't know exactly where your startup is going. You don't have a crystal ball, you can't forecast where you'll be in 6 months. But sometimes the darkest areas of your journey will be immediately followed by the springboard or the shining moments. So there are times when you will question yourself, but keep on working through and work hard and be kind and just keep on believing in yourself.
For myself, it's been interesting because I started SGE 7.5 years ago as a hobby for fun. I was still in university. So I ran as a hobby for the first 6 years. So I only turned full-time on it a year and a half ago. So plan A has always just been this now. Along the 6 years, actually running a fund at the same time. So you can say this hobby wasn't really plan A, although I've always wanted to start a business. So now when you look at where am I today with SG, this is the only plan. I have no other eggs in other baskets. similarly. So it's about iterating as well. So we're still trying things out. So we just launched a new research arm. So that's one try at trying to monetize, for example, a hobby. So my child was studying a hobby to a business. So the second point regarding students, I think similar to what I know my fellow panelists have said, is that you get on guidance. Mentorship is very important. Finding mentors is important. Working with someone else I think is great, but I didn't, so I made all the mistakes on my own dime, I guess. So yeah, so I think there's no clear path, you know. Some people would learn much more from learning from someone else. Some would learn much more from learning at a big company how they do processes. So I think it depends from person to person. Yes, question back.
Hi everyone, hi guys, thank you for being here. I have quite a few questions, so you can just stop me if it's too much.
No,
and,
go ahead.
you know, I don't want to monopolize.
Try one by one.
I want to bring back the debate on social media because this is really what we're here for. So I want to know, beside the classic share and like button that you have or refollow a tweet on your website, have you thought about any other social media integration or any other community aspects? Some of you talked about a wish list earlier. Can you share that with us if you've implemented it? Second, you spoke about metrics and how it's hard to track really what social media does in terms of sales. So here's the question. What if tomorrow it was sort of an apocalypse and there was no more social media? What would happen to your sales? Would you be able to tell us what would happen to your sales? And last but not least, we understand that social media is about grounding customer service there and your presence as a brand, but also as a support to your customers. What are the things that you didn't expect that happened in terms of customer service and social media as an e-commerce platform with your customers when you did your social media journey? Okay, so if you need me to remind you, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I guess, so of course we have like and share buttons, we also have Pinterest buttons on all of our products as well as our content. Then we try to do things like our wish list, so you know, integrating the ability for women to select products that they might want and share that through social channels has been, you know, good. I don't know, it hasn't necessarily been the biggest revenue driver, but I think it's a fun feature for people. I think that our YouTube channel is probably one of the more interactive places for people. So because we're putting content up there that's a bit longer form, there tends to be more question and answer and back and forth with our consumers or just with our fans there than there is maybe on Facebook. Facebook for us is just more aspirational. It's more about photos. It's more about images and you know, just sort of portraying the brand vision for Luxola. So yeah, so I think YouTube is actually a really, really important place for beauty to be. Your second question?
Well, what would happen to your sales if social media disappeared?
Oh, I think, I mean, I think a lot would happen. I think that even though you might be tracking where your customers come from in any certain instance, it doesn't necessarily indicate how they found out about you or where they come from on any given visit, right? So just in the same way that some people prefer email as a mode of communication to let them know about, you know, whatever is on special that week or whatever offer you might have or whatever look you might be promoting. People like to turn to Facebook or people like to turn to Instagram, and that doesn't mean that they come directly to your website from that channel, right? So I think that's why it's important to keep that in mind when you're trying to measure, you know, the value of social media, is that, you know, you might see that we have your favorite color of nail polish on sale for $20 one day on Facebook, but that doesn't mean that you click on Facebook and come to it, right? You might come to it later that night from your home or your phone or whatever on your way home. So I think it would be incredibly detrimental to the business. Yeah. So.
And customer service, when you brought customer service to social media,
yeah.
Were there things that you didn't expect that happened, especially in your relationship with your customers?
I think we didn't expect so much love from our customers on social media, so I think everybody expects the negative, and I think we try to deal with the negative very transparently. We answer questions straightforward. We deal, we never hide a comment. We never delete a comment. We're really, really about trying to accept if we've made a mistake and apologize for that as transparently as we can. But I think what we didn't expect is so much positive feedback. So that's been great.
Thank you.
So for Vanity Trove, the way we build it is very structured. So we make sure that rule number one, in every single, regardless of social media, search engine, whatever, make sure that the brand is always there first, so vanity trope is always there, and then they'll make sure that the foundation is right. So we set up mixed panels, Google Analytics, make sure that we can track everything, because we're very numbers driven, very low burn rate, so we make sure that we have enough cash to last the race. So once we have this tool in place, then we'll start testing. So other than like and share, we'll try and understand what do our subscribers, what our women actually want from Vanity Trope. So we understand that they want latest, trending, beauty products, they want information. So we try to give them those information, tell them how to use those products. So we try to understand what the customers actually want before engaging them in social media. That will actually help in the engagement process by a lot. And you actually get a lot of conversions just by referrals, because you answer the questions and then you share it to everyone else and stuff like that. Yeah. So far, like Zola, I don't have any negative customer. Yeah. Oh, wait, let me think.
We have negative customer reviews. I'm not saying we're perfect.
Yeah,
I was just saying we didn't expect so much positive.
But we had one. So every month we deliver the trove on the 20th and 25th of the month. So when we started in the first 3 months, we actually promised people that we'll deliver to them between the 10th to 15th of the month, which was unreal. So it didn't happen, and we had tons of complaints, and everyone was sharing the complaints. Yeah, so that was kind of painful. And then we shifted the timeline, and then we had to do like an entire social media stint to tell people, oh, hey, look, we've changed the timeline, we have to email them, we have to call our subscribers one by one. Yeah.
So Groupon uses multiple outlets to connect with our customers, and it would be great detriment to lose the social media element, because we would be losing a vast amount of analytical data that we can get from our customers about what they like and dislike about Groupon services, products, and our merchants. We get a lot of feedback through that channel, and it's a great chance for us to improve our game. And it also wouldn't allow us to share some great memes out there, and obviously to continue the relationship with the customer just beyond the buying experience, and to create that conversation. So if an apocalypse did happen, then Groupon would be lacking without the social media element, then that would suck. In terms of the customer service, any surprises in terms of the elements of customer service that Groupon has interacted with over time? I think the greatest surprise that has been impressed upon me is the level of expectation that Singaporean customers hold its merchants to. A lot of Groupon regional websites around the world, and as well as in Asia, have had these challenges, and we've tried to learn from those challenges, and we've tried to bring them back to Singapore and improve our game. But I think what's so impressive about the Singaporean customers is that they are not afraid to vent their anger. So it always keeps us on our tippy toes, and it always makes us aware of the fact that you can't just rest on your laurels. You have to invest time, energy, and passion into your customer service sector. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty hateful page. So it's definitely something that we are looking to grow at on the Groupon social media pages.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Hi, my name is Umbrella from Sustainable Living Lab. My question is to Christopher. So I actually checked out on your Facebook, Groupon's Facebook, and I understand that you put so much into its Facebook. And the thing that I noticed is that there are several posts there are several posts about cat photos, people getting naked inside hot tub, or weird, like people working out. I mean, I understand it could be a strategy to actually make people like the brand. Is that the strategy, and why?
That's a really good question. I don't know how those naked photos got up there. I must have been using my personal page or something instead of the company page. No, look, I think that the reality of social media is that you have to be very aware of who your consumers are, what they respond to and what they react to. As I said before, consumers are bombarded on a daily basis with thousands of marketing messages, whether it's through billboards, radio, or TV, and it's just not having that same connection that it did 30 years ago. Social media and people involved in the industry have to think about ways to innovate and to improve the social media experience of consumers. And one of the ways we do that is we do posts that we think will elicit a response from our consumers. And our consumers happen to be educated professional females, late 20s, early 30s, who are accustomed to online shopping and are usually very much accustomed to online websites, memes and pictures that go viral. So we want to put that out there because we know that that's the sort of stuff that our consumers love, and they are liking it, they're sharing it. We have a lot of people talking about us, and we have a high fan user base. And I think that's based on literally like girls, in the train on the commute to work, being like, "Did you check out this funny image? I found it on the Groupon Facebook page. You should subscribe." Like, they actually come out with some pretty interesting stuff. And it's not just like, hey, save 50% on this massage, or you've had a hard week, why don't you come to one of our partners? It's like, hey, like, we're not just going to talk about ourselves. Let's talk about what you want to talk about and what you love. And I'm not saying that, necessarily I know what girls want to talk about, because I've definitely tried to post some stuff that I thought would be cool with the females, but totally backfired on me. So luckily our social media team is based in the demographics of our consumer base.
Do they generally convert? Like, what are your intuition?
And what impact does it have on the brand? Because if Groupon page has memes, what does that say about Groupon? Are you not worried?
I mean, that's a great sort of point of analysis. I think what we're trying to create at Groupon is a cultural and lifestyle hub. It's not just a place where you shop, but it's an experience for consumers. It's what Apple has done so well in the past. It's about getting consumers to not only buy your products, but to love your products, to love your brands, to have these so-called super fans. And how do you convert the fans into people that are actually passionate about your brands? And I'm not saying that everything that we post will be to the taste of our consumers, and we've learned our lessons along the way, but what we're trying to do is generally have an upbeat tone, post about things that are lighthearted and humorous, and will elicit a positive response from our consumers.
I'm just going to chime in because I actually think that that's a really important point, and I kindly disagree with you on it. I don't think there is any point in having a Facebook page with 1 million fans who give you 500,000 likes on a cat meme if it has nothing to do with your brand. We would much rather have a smaller fan base who's actually engaged with what we're talking about. And that doesn't mean that we're advertising to them constantly. It doesn't mean that we're, constantly showing them pictures of things that are for sale. But it does mean that we're talking about things that fit within our brand, right? So for us, it's maybe it's right now it's looks that are coming off the Oscar runway, right? Or it's a celebrity look, or it's something from Fashion Week, or it's a nail trend, or it's something a bit fun and girly, like over Valentine's Day, taking Instagrams of the picture of the flowers that we got in the office, right? So I think it's very interesting to see brands put up these photos. I mean, we've done it before. Like, we know that if we put some like funny meme up, that we can get like thousands of likes on one photo. And that's great from like a pride standpoint, but I don't really think it does very much for your brand in the long run. So. Sorry.
One question in front first, then before the gentleman in the back. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Yiping from Audios Asia. I have a question because e-commerce is definitely on the rise in Southeast Asia and in Singapore in particular. So, like Groupon, we are a daily deal site, and just since last year, 2012, we see that the traditional way of Groupon starting selling services has now really shifted a lot to products. And this has actually caused a lot of delivery issues that most group buying companies have never encountered before. And so with the rise of e-commerce, I mean, can you share a little bit with us on the ratio of like local fulfillment team versus outsourced partners that you would have to manage today and to manage in the future? I mean, how do you see the ratio shifting?
I mean, I can talk about it, although I don't know how interested this audience is in sort of distribution and logistics and procurement issues. I think that distribution and logistics is a huge challenge for e-commerce. I think that you're best off trying a lot of different partners or building it in-house yourself, which is what we do. I'll leave it at that. If you want to talk about it more.
No, for us we just do pick and pack, so just make sure we have volume and then find the right partner and then just force them to do it the way you want them to do it.
How much is volume?
I think a couple of thousand would be sufficient. So if you have a volume of a couple of thousand within a short period of, let's say, a couple of days, I think most logistics partners will be listening to you and asking you what you want, what you need, how do I build my whole system for you.
Just contemplating my Zappos experience and how good it was, I don't think that we can replicate that in Singapore at this stage. Not only just in the distribution methods available, but I think, you know, as Douglas was saying before, let's look at the florists, let's see how they do it and try to bring it in-house, try to bring those practices so that we can match those standards. But it's very much a young industry right now. There's a lot of room for improvement in terms of delivery methods, logistical improvements, and trying to minimize errors in terms of getting products on time to our consumers.
We have one question here and one question in the back.
Thank you very much for today. It's very engaging. I'm fine. I know we've been talking about lots of what we have been doing, what e-commerce sites are doing on social media, like the tools and everything. I'm quite interested to find out what you did before, that is, you know, the listening part and, you know, maybe a sentiment analysis. What type of challenges did you have? Because this is something that's quite close to my heart.
So just to repeat the question a little bit, the audience member here is interested in how these companies listen to customers online. Am I right to summarize it like that? Yeah.
Hold on. I think we definitely monitor what people are saying about us quite closely, as I'm sure both of these guys do as well. So we try to hear what people are saying about us, even if we're not engaged in that conversation, and if it's appropriate, we try to insert ourselves into that conversation. So a good example is a girl here in Singapore had a problem with a social media campaign that we were running on Facebook. I found it on a blog just through monitoring where our name pops up in news, and felt that it was appropriate for me as CEO to insert myself into that conversation and to say, hey, look, I'm really sorry you had this bad experience, how can we make it better for you? And we ended up having a whole conversation with her, and her, you know, it wasn't even big. It's like she has a blogger audience of like, I think like 5,000 girls, right? Which is a decent size. I'm not saying that's not big, but so I think for us, it's just about like also paying attention to what's going on externally and not just being like in a hole of like, well, these are the social media channels we control and this is the conversation we control. We also want to try to pay attention to what's going on outside of you know, where we're participating, what's relevant to us, where can we talk to our customers. And I think similarly, people are always giving feedback. You just need to learn how to pay attention and listen to it, right? So, you know, we'll go on Van Vitro's Facebook page and look at what girls are asking from them for and pay attention to that because it's relevant to our business, right? So, I'm sorry. I have a secret spy organization dedicated to doing show.
I think every company needs to have a Google Alerts enabled for their company. But the greatest challenge for us in terms of listening to our customers through the social media channels is given the Groupon model. So customers will go on our website, buy a discount for a massage. You know, not everyone will enjoy the massage. And I mean, that's a reality of the situation, you know. And it's trying to come up with ways of not hampering the merchant's goals and trying to better their business, but in terms of improving our own customer service and coming up with an adequate return spot and refund policy, and not underutilizing our customer service team, giving them the adequate resources that they need. And it's about, yeah, you know, putting your ear to the ground and really listening to the customers and how they feel about the different merchants that you're signing up. That's an important part of our customer service as well.
So we use a couple of tools like Google Alerts. We use meltwater bars. We tried JMQ. We tried Brandology. Yeah, so we tried a couple of listening tools, but we realized the most effective one is to have lunch with them. So we have like a Vanity Trove subscriber lunch. So myself and like maybe 2 or 3 other guys from the office, and we'll have it with like 10 girls, and every month it's different group of girls, and we just listen to them.
She says she wants it, right?
Yeah, and I buy the lunch.
Okay, we have time for one last question, and just now I saw a hand right at the back. Oh. Did someone raise as well? Okay, we have 2 more, like 2. That's it. The person at the back first. Oh wait, she has a mic. Okay, sorry, mic first.
Thanks. Sorry. Hi Gwen, hi Chris, hi Alexis, hi Douglas. I'm a blogger, so I'm a big fan of buying Groupon, Vanity Trove, and Luxola all online. Obviously, a lot of us in the audience, we live online, and it's the reason for your business. But have you ever thought of, obviously, relying on social media? You guys are very reliant on the pricing and what you're able to say about what you write, about what other people like. There's a lot of rules involved. Have you thought of building your own forums to try and contain that community inside what you own?
I mean, I think we do a mix of both. Like, that we engage very heavily with the blogger community here in Singapore, in Thailand, in Indonesia. That's a huge priority for us. I think we utilize our own content to try to control what we want to portray about the brand, but I don't think we're so controlling as to assume or have the hubris to think that we can stop conversation about us in any direction that it might go. So I think we try to participate and we try to guide with what the principles of our brand are, but I don't think that we think that we can control it any one way or another.
So, I mean, for example, the way TripAdvisor has a forum, so they've got all the community members, plowing it with lots of content about what they like and don't like about the topics. Would you think that e-commerce could see value in having forums embedded in their sites?
We would never have a forum on our site, but I could see it being useful for certain things, for sure.
The technology investment is huge,
yeah.
to build an infrastructure that can fully absorb the social chatter and have them on your platform. Will Groupon be building that?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of growth for having a review-based website, a review aggregate website in Singapore, but Groupon is not it. We do care about what our customers feel about the merchants that we do feature, and we have a lot of feedback mechanisms, and that does have influence on our decisions about whether we want to continue business with certain merchants or not. So we do listen to what you guys say. And if you guys do have a bad experience, then we do take that to heart and we try to figure out, is it sustainable to continue the working relationship with this merchant? But in terms of hosting and housing a review forum mechanism in our website, I don't think we're ready yet.
I think that said, we do allow reviews on every single product, which was in itself quite a hefty thing to build and is already sort of an intense thing to manage. But that reviews, that feedback is extremely helpful for our business. So.
Thank you. One last question at the back, I think.
Hello, I just wanted to ask a question.
We can't hear you.
Get a mic. Put it closer to.
Is this better?
Yes, much. Thank you.
It's one question. It's just I've broken it down into 4 different parts, but they're all interrelating to each other. I just wanted to know how you strike the balance between engaging your customers and keeping them interested in terms of posting too often and not posting enough. And also in the times, I know that now that you're still building yourselves up, but in the times when you wanted to build up your Facebook fan bases, what other ways did you use apart from social media in order to entice new people along to your site? And because you have different platforms, different funnels, which is a word that I've learned today, I wanted to know if you use your different funnels with similar images and similar messages, or if you use them to portray different messages and you kind of, I don't know, you use different messages across them because you feel that different consumers are going into different ones, just haven't seen more. And then just lastly, if you find that there are trends across the images that you have that are retweeted and shared on Facebook. Thank you.
So I think that's a really good question about engagement versus spamming.